Welcome to Mint Views. Today is World International Migrants Day, and we are going to discuss today whether migration is good or bad. As it turns out, the world's most successful country, the United States of America, is a land of immigrants. That itself should tell us that migration has a huge value. The other thing is, everybody keeps talking about globalization. But the funny thing is, everybody believes in the globalization of capital, but not the globalization of labor. How come? Isn't that an imbalance? So here's the proposition. What if every country in the world decides to have an open door policy and basically says that everybody is allowed to go wherever they want? Free migration for all as a universal international policy. Is that a good idea? That's what we want to debate today. So first of all, let me ask our guest for this morning. We have Dhirendra with us. What do you think about this proposition?
Well, as you yourself pointed out in your opening remarks, that US is probably the biggest beneficiary of this concept, immensely benefiting from all the people who have migrated to it over the last hundreds of years. It is the country of migrants. So I believe it is of great, immense benefit that you get the best people from outside your land, contributing to your society, coming to your land and contributing to your society, helping advance the science and technology, and also enhancing your culture. But there's also a flip side to it. The flip side is, should it be free, should it be open, or should it be regulated? I would say it should be regulated, because the way cultures and religions and societies have progressed over the years, or maybe just shaped over the years, it of course puts a drain on your resources. Maybe if you look at now, say India, for example, US may have its own vast mass of land and not so high population still and immense natural resources. But if you were to just look at India, with its own limited resources, huge stress on land and its capital, labor, everything, how would it really respond, and how would it really cope up with an influx?
Shrija, what do you make about this? Regulations, should a state decide, okay, migration is good, but only up till a limit? What do you think?
Arish, since you've already made in your opening remarks about the concept of globalization, right? Robert Frost, in his famous Global Perestroika, actually advocated the idea, the concept of a porous border, free trade, free market principles. So, unfortunately, the free trade in capital has happened, but the free trade in labor is a massively missed opportunity. And throughout the world, the incidents have shown that people are, sort of advocating for closing the borders, for preventing the influx of people. But research, even statistics have shown that if you allow immigrants, or if you allow people to come through your border, it actually results in a creation of your wealth. It actually enhances the economy. So you can't really, negate the economic dividends that you reap from getting people into your country, because it also raises the labor productivity, and it's not something, it's not like an anecdote or something, it's backed by well-proven research. And also, it wouldn't harm, or it wouldn't be alarmist to say that having immigrants in your country do tilt the socio-cultural, the economic, the conservative approach, the balance a bit. But, to sort of, close the borders, I would say it's virtually paranoia. So yeah, I would definitely, defend the open door policy.
Open door policy. Srijay, would you have something to say about this?
Well, we are just witnessing the after effects of long years of porous borders that we have had, we still have with some of our eastern neighbors, for example with Bangladesh, etc. And that has caused a havoc in our eastern border states, in Assam, Tripura, etc., which has resulted in so much of chaos across the northeast. So porous borders do not necessarily help, and we will have to look at the state's capacity when you allow uncontrolled migration, uncontrolled influx. Whether Indian state, or for that matter any other developing state, has the capacity to provide for for say healthcare, for education, for jobs, etc. India simply cannot. Therefore, to have an open door policy will only create unrest in our society.
Correct, but it's also true that countries which rise above identity manage to succeed because they focus on the future, not where you're coming from, but where you're going. And they look at the economy, which is actually all about where creative ideas come from. Rohit, what do you think?
We also need to consider that an open door policy can be in some sense unfair to places which provide very good economic opportunities, because they are likely to see a heavy influx of migrants with an open door policy, and which would eventually, as Srijay pointed out in case of India, which would eventually put some strain on their resources, and would obviously, as the numbers increase, would increase the competition for the locals.
Well, at the end of it, it turns out that diversity itself actually does have a value. There are a series of studies, as Shrija pointed out, which actually show that the ideation in an economy actually emerges from the quality of diversity within that region. The more new incomers you have, the more different kind of thoughts actually occur within that geographical region, the country, and the better ideas you often have. California is a marvelous example of that kind of thing. Silicon Valley is a marvel of diversity by and large. So there are also positives that have to be looked at when we talk about an open door policy. But yes, there are cultural issues. The British author David Goodhart, for example, famously said the world is divided into the somewhere people and the anywhere people. The somewhere people are rooted to a particular culture. The anywhere people are liberals. They don't mind living anywhere, willing to get along with everybody else. And what we are witnessing right now is actually a clash between the anywhere people and the somewhere people. And that's going on worldwide, which explains much of what's happening across the world in terms of shutting doors. By and large, over the next decade or so, we may have been able to resolve these issues of where we need to go. Till then, I hope we can maintain some sense of balance. Thank you.